cousin called me at midnight to babysit her grown kids. I said no, chaos followed, and now I have a restraining order. Even though I hardly knew her or her adult children, I declined my cousin's midnight call asking me to watch them. I have my own life, work full-time, and am 28. Being 28, you know. Naturally, that is irrelevant because it seems that I should always schedule time for my family. I know maybe 7% of them by name and 15% of them by face, but let's overlook that. I'm sorry, but someone is sure to get bogged down in the details with the 400 Mildreds, 250 Lindas, and 800 Stephanies, Chelseas, and Janets I see once every full planetary alignment. Naturally, when my parents, grandma, and siblings are all free, I make time for them. Being the youngest of 3, I work at the most forgiving job, even though it's not that bad. I also schedule time for other people I see on a regular basis. Well, let's get back to the funeral. Throughout the pre-ceremonial event, I kept getting the question, "Do you remember me?" And, "Are you aware of my identity?" To prevent any discomfort, I responded yes, yes, and yes. It's been a long time. One of my cousins, of whom I have no recollection but who evidently speaks to my mom on a daily basis, approached me during that time and introduced me to her children. We said hello to each other. According to their mother, they had been eagerly awaiting my arrival and appeared ecstatic to meet me. What the expletive? Was the first thing that came to me, but I ignored it because I wasn't in the right frame of mind. My cousin informed me that her children were in my state, around 40 minutes away from my home, and that they were roughly my age. I thought, oh, that's awesome, but I didn't give a damn. She said she would discuss it with my mother and proposed a little gathering later this year. Yes, all right. I took it as a cool, I don't have to worry about it, and went on, even though I'm not 14 anymore and don't need permission to do anything. Let's travel ahead to roughly 45 minutes. I receive a call at around midnight from a number located in the city where the majority of my family resides. Furthermore, the location is quite specific, too specific to be spam. I panicked, of course. My late grandfather was only a few years older than my grandma, who was down there at the time. Call me suspicious. I picked up the phone. Hi, name. It's your relative. How are you? My thoughts are, who the expletive? However, I answered, hey, what's up, is everything all right? Yes, she responded, as if perplexed by my inquiry. Everything is all right, just checking in to see when you're free to get lunch this weekend with her children's names. I felt like that meme with all the mathematics going about after I eventually figured out who this was. This woman couldn't have contacted me at almost midnight to arrange her expletive playdate. I'm sorry, what? I said. Remember at the funeral? She said. We discussed getting together later with you and kids' names. In addition to son's name, applying to university, daughter's name is transferring there for her junior year. I was thinking that we could meet after their Saturday morning tour, and you could take them out to lunch. Alcohol is just nowhere. Son's name is just 18. Hold on. What? She claimed they were about my age, but her son is incapable of drinking, as I clearly recall. She then begins to babble about how her daughter, who is 22 years old and doesn't know what moderation means, isn't permitted to drink unless she or her husband are around. What on earth would a 28 almost 29-year-old have to discuss with an 18 and 22-year-old? Perhaps I'm the only one who thinks this. Don't use drugs, concentrate on your studies, and don't get anyone pregnant. What's the topic of discussion? In addition, I don't even know these individuals. I was gasping and squawking on the phone before I even realized it. It was not appreciated by my cousin. I muttered, yeah, I don't think so, but I was too busy laughing to hear what she was saying. I don't get off until around 8 p.m. on Saturdays since I work a double shift. Well, first of all, I don't know what's so funny about what I said, she shot back. Additionally, you may simply have a wonderful supper or do something else. 8 p.m. It's not that late, I had lost all patience by now. Ma'am, this isn't Star Trek, and I work about 40 minutes away. After an 11-hour shift, I'm not in the mood to babysit, and I won't be arriving home until about 9 o'clock. Although this is a college town, I can suggest a few places for you guys to check out on your own. There aren't many locations that don't serve alcohol. They do have other drinks, after all. She said. Pardon me. I am aware that your mother did not teach you to treat others rudely, especially your relatives. I don't know you, dude. You're calling me at the most inconvenient time to arrange a get-together with your children, who are not my age, and I have no idea who you are. You're all young adults, girl. I cover the cost of my own health insurance. We are not alike. Do not call me again, please. After hanging up, I had a brief argument with my fiancé, who had been awakened by this absurdity. I'm not going to hear the end of this during regular waking hours, of course. In a subtle way, I hoped she would wake up and complain about me so my mother would scold her for phoning us at such an inappropriate hour. However, I am aware that my mother will point out that I should have been a bit more polite. To be honest, I believe I did okay by refraining from using profanity during the discussion. Perhaps I'm simply talking about my zero expletive tolerance. Update. It turns out that by making a joke about my cousin calling my mom to complain about me, I jinxed myself because she actually did just that. She awoke my hard-working, impoverished mother to spy on me. In my opinion, my mother is a complete gem, yet I have witnessed her attack others like a rogue chainsaw. Her charming fairy act wasn't a lie to me. Tinkerbell has a tendency to be petty. She mentioned that she said some words, which is her way of stating that she cursed, but she didn't tell me exactly what she said. After saying one sentence, she hung up. My mom contacted my cousin back to get the whole story when she had gotten up and had her coffee. She gave me a call at that point. My mom questioned me, "Did you make a Star Trek reference during a conversation with your cousin as to why you wouldn't be able to have dinner with her kids?" As soon as I answered, and I could tell she was struggling to maintain her composure while being a mother. Indeed, I did. Since I only have a car and still need to pay gas, she was giving the impression that I had a transporter in my pocket. Over the phone, I could definitely hear her trying not to laugh. "Honey, I don't think she gets your sense of humor." Well, that should come as no surprise given that we don't even know one another. At that moment, my mom burst out laughing so loudly that my dad could hear it from a different room. Through the speaker, I could hear him laughing. My mother didn't have the strength to tell me to apologize just yet, even though I know she wanted to. She advised me to wait till my cousin had calmed down a bit, but she would keep me updated. I was traveling to work at the time of this call, which is what nearly caused me to crash my car. "I understand that what your cousin did was absurd, but do you think it was appropriate to laugh at her?" my mother asked. I won't reveal precisely what mom told me next, but it seems that in her initial outburst, she had come up with a rather colorful moniker for my cousin. The N-word appeared in the name, but don't worry, we're all black. I had never heard my mother use that word in my entire life. She was so furious that I'm shocked she was able to contact this woman back, much less engage in a normal discussion. Therefore, I believe it should be clear that nobody in this household should be concerned about my urinating. I'm a bundle of kittens in comparison to my mom when she's exhausted. Second update. From now on, I shall refer to her as this raccoon dog since I have officially had enough of her. Her name is in my contacts as well. Get ready to be as mistaken as I was if you believed that the entitlement and rudeness couldn't get much worse. I suppose I'm simply a expletive fool if you did believe that things might get worse. I decided to work on a new beer recipe I had developed since I had today off. So there I was, with my brew pot, in the kitchen. To put things in perspective, the first step in making beer at home is to prepare the wort, which is essentially your sugar water. In order to add malt extracts, the grains are first boiled in a kettle or stock pot, and then the heat is turned off. Before boiling the liquid once more, you must stir until the extracts dissolve. Hops are then added, adding a range of tastes and bitterness. In instance, I utilize several components that I produce myself during the initial boil, making my brews a little more complex. Because these materials take a long time to mature, I make sure not to squander any of it. Later on, this will be significant. The raccoon dog from hell called me while I was relaxing and doing my thing. My curiosity overcame me, and I answered after considering leaving her on voicemail. "Hey. Hi, this is RD. Oh, hello. What is going on?" I wanted to express my regret for the other day. The time didn't even cross my mind. Usually, I stay up quite late talking to someone. Unable to relate. Yes, I do feel that. No worries. Internally fuming. So pay attention. I was hoping you would think twice about hanging out with blah and blah, even though I know we had a rough start. I know you were worried since you don't know each other, and they don't know anyone in that town. I understand. All I want is for them to be with someone they feel at ease with. Now, as I've stated in other remarks, I believe it to be very reasonable. She is their mother after all, and is presumably merely attempting to ensure that college is enjoyable for them. Personally, I detested attending classes and spending so much time with strangers. I took online classes and stayed at home since I didn't like the idea of mingling at college. I told her that I understood exactly where she was coming from. I appreciate your understanding. Now, your mother informed me that due to your job, these things must be planned for you in advance, RD said. Since we'll all be getting together anyhow, I was thinking about Thanksgiving or Christmas. Yes, of course. I don't see why not, as we'll all be at the same location anyhow. Excellent, many thanks. They will be quite thrilled. Fantastic. With a gentle click-clack, I put the brew kettle back on the hot stove and said, "Sounds good. Are you preparing a meal?" "Yes." "You can cook, don't you?" "What are you producing?" "I am brewing wort for a new recipe that I am experimenting with." "Wort? What is that?" "Oh, it's beer sugar base." "I apologize. Did you mention beer?" "Yes." "Are you brewing beer?" "Yes." "Oh, huh. Is your mom aware of what you're doing?" "I suppose so, since she knows I can make it." Awkward quiet. "I said beer, not cocaine, didn't you hear me?" "Are you also able to make that?" "No, you're acting like I'm breaking something, so I asked." "Well, I'm just worried about the potential impact that could have on the children. Perhaps don't bring that up when you're hanging around. I am already aware that certain conventional families may not find my interests and employment choice suitable. But I would be dishonest if I claimed that her reaction and treatment of something I'm really passionate about didn't make me feel a bit upset. Only because I was going to see them over the holidays, and since I don't really discuss my passions in front of my family out of respect and to prevent any drama, did I not decline the hangout and end the call at that moment. Therefore, it wouldn't have been a problem. I simply agreed and rolled my eyes. Fantastic. All right, the final item. I am aware that the neighborhood has a large number of affordable apartments and student housing. Therefore, I wanted to know which ones we ought to investigate that would be both close to the school and you. This is the point at which reality set in. To be honest, I smiled a little. Well, the rates are fairly reasonable for a 2-bedroom apartment, and it's about a 5 to 10 minute walk from the school. That's amazing. You two might live next door. Yes, regarding that. Actually, before the year ends, we will be relocating to the city where I work, which is over 40 minutes away, so we won't be in the area. Oh, hold on. I'm not really paying attention. Are you stating that you will not be able to visit them? Put Britney Spears' WTF expression here. Actually, no, not at all. We are moving closer to our employment so that we won't have to drive as far, which is the main goal. But you do it all the time, so I just don't understand why you couldn't go see them once or twice a week. Well, that would be really inconvenient for me. That doesn't seem very likely to me. Is spending a couple hours with your family inconvenient? Do you not make the extra drive to your parents' city? Yeah, but traffic is typically the cause. So, you go see them despite though you'll be even farther away when you move. I don't understand why it's so inconvenient for you to drive halfway to see your relatives, especially on days like today when you should be spending time with your family instead of creating booze. Simply put, I think your priorities are a little out of order. For the remainder of this talk, my brain decided that civility was unnecessary and pushed it into a locked closet, despite the fact that I have painfully and deliberately chosen my words throughout all of our conversations. I'm sorry, did you really just compare the level of importance between your kids, who I have said exactly 0 words to in my entire 28 years of life, to my parents? I exploded. Alright honey, let me start by saying that I have no idea to whom you are speaking. Once more, who the explicit are you? Again, what do I owe you? What time or portion of my day do you deserve to reclaim? Why have you returned to my life? If we hadn't crossed paths again, what would I miss? Oh, nothing, since I don't know you explicitly. Furthermore, I don't have an attic, so I don't care if you choose to move in. Years before I can even recall your explicit name, I'm going to visit my folks and deliver them all the homemade alcohol I desire. And explicit you for diverting my attention as my explicit word is now ruined due to my kettle boiling over. I nearly lost it when I heard my fiancé laugh out loud in the adjacent room, but that was in the heat of the moment. I sounded like an irate Bubbles from the Powerpuff Girls, he said later. Since I was so focused on getting the sticky mess of my damaged mixture off my stove and floor before my cat could get to it, I honestly can't recall if she said anything else after that. I hung up after saying an irate "see you on Thanksgiving," which was all I could manage in my annoyance. Although I haven't heard from anybody else since, I'm quite certain that nobody will have the audacity to bring it up given how out of character that blow-up was for me. I don't get angry very often, so when I do, my parents usually just make sure I'm alright and prevent anyone from bringing it up later. I have to give my fiancé credit for making me laugh so fast at the absurd noise I made when I saw the pot boil over when he came to assist me clean up the mess. I asked him in jest if he believed I would be punished for that outburst. He claimed that he believes I frightened her enough to make her temporarily retreat to her trash den. Third update. I have had nothing to do at all for the first time since Thanksgiving. We appreciate everyone who took the time out of their day to read this, as it will be the final installment of this chaotic roller coaster. I'm glad I could keep you entertained. I know that most of you were anticipating some kind of media circus monstrosity family meal, but this is the moment you've all been waiting for. To be honest, so did I. However, this year, the goddess of chaos chose to be my best friend and made the holiday absolutely ideal for me. My family's Thanksgiving was cancelled. My fiancé and I had to work on Black Friday, my grandma stayed at home in remembrance of my grandfather, and my parents traveled to see my brother. Thus, we peacefully spent Thanksgiving at home. We watched a marathon of horror films while snuggled in our pajamas and enjoying a delectable supper and fantastic drinks that I had made. I was swooning over it like a fat cat in a tuna factory, and it was flawless. Then my phone rang, though. I choose to disregard the number because I didn't recognize it. They left a voicemail, but they could wait until tomorrow because I was on vacation for the holidays. Another call was received a few minutes later. The same figure. Then another. And yet another. And yet another. I was on the verge of enclosing my phone in a salt barrier in the hopes that it would deter this stalker. As the logical genius that he is, my fiancé recommended that I listen to the message, which I had entirely forgotten about. I turned it on so we could hear it. This is your landlord, SFM. Since the workplace is plainly closed, I'm using my personal phone. I apologize for disturbing your vacation, but I must have a call from you as soon as possible. You're probably wondering where the raccoon dog comes in, but I phoned her back in a panic because I had missed around 8 calls from this woman by this time. Oh baby, it's going to feel like Christmas. I don't have the entire discussion committed to memory, but I know I can get it very near. I remember what I said, and my landlord wasn't very professional throughout this call. Don't judge, but I would have been furious too. I gave my landlord a call. Hey, she sounded as though she had discovered an entire turkey in the toilet. Hey, I'm so sorry, I didn't know this was you and I began. No, honey, I understand. Like everyone else, you were having a great time on vacation. Please don't even think about it. She cut me off. Here's a nervous laugh. So, what is going on? What's happening? Are you familiar with a woman named Raccoon Dog? She inquired. Her name was still a mystery to me, so I said, Not off the top of my head, no. Alright, so she's been berating our courteous cop for the last hour and a half and she knows you. She claimed that after you invited her children over, she is unable to contact you. Make sure that explicit didn't interpret my "see you on Thanksgiving" remark from our most recent phone conversation as an invitation to visit my house. I'm still having trouble connecting the dots at this point because I haven't spoken to this person in a month, and I was freaking out like a squirrel attempting to cross a busy street because my first thought when my landlord called me on her cell phone on Thanksgiving was eviction notice. I clarified that neither of us had invited anyone, thus I had no idea who this could be. See, that's what I thought, because you guys don't ever really have nobody around like that anyway, my landlord said, going into full nail salon black lady mode. Given that my fiancé and I are antisocial recluses, may my landlord rest in peace. The landlord went on. But she knows your identity, adding. And she has been requesting that we give her your room number without mentioning your fiancé. As in, really? No reputable business would simply divulge the information of its tenants in that manner. You would still be in violation of the law even if we did. What is she doing? I inquired. She parked in front of the fire zone with her kids in the car and is shouting police brutality because our courtesy officer gave her a fine and told her that if she doesn't move, we're going to have her car towed, stated my landlady. My apartment complex is very close to the university, and the main road leading to the separate properties is a frequently used route directly to many of the university buildings, as well as a third of the fraternities. They take this very, very, very seriously, and if there were a fire in that area, that section would most definitely be blocked off. Please note that the fine for parking in front of a fire zone here ranges from $500 to $2,000 depending on the location and severity of the situation. Did she relocate? I inquired. No, my landlord retorted. She threatened the courtesy officer after receiving a fine for the fire zone. Her children are still in the car, and he had to phone for assistance. My fiancé, seated next to me, burst out laughing like a crazy person as I cackled, clearly still in a panic because I still didn't know who this was. Yo, it's Raccoon Dog. My fiancé texted my mother. 55 what? What dog? My landlady interrupted. This poor woman sounded so defeated and worn out as she questioned, can you formally state that you didn't invite her and don't want her here? I told her everything from the beginning, and I could hear all the energy leave her body as she started laughing. This stunning woman said, okay, I got this expletive, in response to my confirmation. You guys have an incredibly nice Thanksgiving. We hung up. I couldn't stop thinking about this woman's children and how ashamed they must have been. I don't understand how I haven't heard from someone who has fled at this point. I was silently shocked, incredulous, and trying not to laugh. My fiancé clicked play on our movie and said, eat, watch. I honestly didn't know what to say, so I just followed his instructions, trying not to choke on my food from laughter. I tried to think of anything to say, but all I did was open my mouth before he stopped me with, nope, 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 nope. When I later learned that RD, Raccoon Dog, had gotten in touch with her, my mother threw the biggest fit, accusing me of lying to her about spending Thanksgiving with her children. It seems that during the same phone call where I yelled at her, she was fined $2,000 by the courtesy officer assigned by my landlord, and to make matters worse, her husband had to pay $3,500 to bail her out of jail and she was hit with an additional $7,500 fine for trespassing, resisting arrest, and threatening violence toward a police officer. Yes, I didn't even have to do anything, yet I am the expletive worst. It all began with a random unsolicited phone call in the middle of the night a couple of months ago, and I'm still struggling to put the situation into words and I'm trying to persuade myself that it really happened. The pièce de résistance. 2 days ago, her children created a group chat on one of my social media accounts with the three of us, apologizing for their crazy mother and all the crap she said about me spending time with them. Did you think that was the best part? Number. They said that what happened on Thanksgiving was the last straw for them, even though they had been wanting to apologize on her behalf for some time but were so ashamed that they decided to just leave me alone. These kids spent most of their Thanksgiving sitting in a car in front of a random apartment complex, and then they sat in a police station for an indeterminate amount of time until their dad could come get them. They knew their mom would be in jail overnight, and that bailing her out would blow half their Christmas fund. Which, yeah, imagine spending Thanksgiving stuck in a spectacle of pure insanity, brought on by your delusional mother. There's a really great pizza place up the street, was all I could reply. I'm off next Friday, and it's on me. I'm not sure what your schedules look like. This weekend, I have a pizza date and a restraining order, a match made in heaven. This whole thing has been such a cluster expletive dumpster explosion, and I hope you all liked sitting in it with me as much as I enjoyed writing it. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.